not to unplug you. We just need a few chairs. Here, take this chair. This way. Since you took the one chair from this side, we need another. You did.
I call the meeting of the Columbus Independent School District to order. Let the record show that quorum of board members is present and this meeting has been duly called and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Everybody stand, please, for the invocation. Mr. Glick.
I'm John Glick. I guess you could call me Deacon John now. For 2 months I've been Deacon John. 50 years ago I was a freshman strolling these halls, and it brings back a lot of memories. All my kids graduated from here and I love this school. I got my call about 5 years ago when I was bringing some trees into Houston, stuck in traffic. I was complaining to God, and he said, get off my bucket and do something about it. Quit complaining. I commend all of y'all for y'all's jobs that y'all doing. I feel that we all have a call in life and y'all answered y'all's. So I thank y'all. Now I'd like to begin as we begin our faith in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving and gracious God, you are indeed the giver of all good gifts, and we thank you today for all your blessings, for the successful outcomes of our school events, and for all our staff members, both teaching and administrative. We ask that you bless them abundantly, and we continue to seek your wisdom, your guidance, your courage and strength. Be with us in our deliberations, and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. Give us insight to lead with integrity, that our decisions may reflect what is right and good. Keep us from short-sightedness and pettiness. Help us make decisions that are for the good of all, and guard us from blind self-interest. Dear Lord, grant us the humility to always seek your will in all that we do and say. All glory be to you, loving God, now and always, through Christ and the Holy Spirit, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll go with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
brings us to open forum. Teresa, do we have any
No, sir.
no open forum today?
No, sir.
Okay. Next is going to be communications and reports. A, student recognition.
So Mr. Kale has a recognition to.
Well, I have two students that are graduating tonight. One of them is unable to be here tonight, but both students have done all their state requirements. They've got all the credits they need to graduate, and they have passed all their state assessments. So first one that's not here tonight, her name is Briandria Shantae Wiley. Okay, and then I have a graduate tonight that I'll bring up here. Her name is Ariel Ashe Wilson. There you go.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ace, you want a picture?
Okay. Moving on to campus reports. Does anybody have any questions on campus reports? If not, we'll move on to financial reports. Any questions, anybody? Any more, book? Okay, moving on. Property value study. Mr. Leopold.
Just, this is the preliminary property value study. Just going through, just hitting the highlights. In Austin County, we went up, 2 million from the previous year, from 2019 property value study, and then in ours here at Colorado County, we went up 50 million. So we were inside our confidence interval, so there's not the big long property value study that you'll see next year again. It's every other year now. So if there's any questions over it, just let me know. I mean, I can go through and you can look. The top part is Austin County, and then the second part is Colorado County, and then the very last is both of them combined. So if you look at the very bottom, then the bottom line is 1,256,859,326. So we went up from the 1,200,000,000 from last year, roughly. I went and had a conversation with Robert Mays and asked him if he saw anything that concerned him for this upcoming year, and right now he said no. I mean, we have concerns of, with COVID, companies shutting down and things like that. That's always a concern, and so I'll stay in close contact with him all year because of those situations. Anything? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 6, consent agenda. We would like to pull out, to start off, letter C, expenditures in excess of $25,000. Jim?
So one of the important things that we wanted to share with y'all is that the purchase of a bus. Each year, we budget to purchase one bus. And this year, we have the choice of a yellow school bus or an activity bus. So I asked Chris, so for the last month, we've shared our actual inventory and our needs and the age and use of each bus. But I asked Director of Transportation Chris Everett to come and kind of talk about both to make us better informed. We're able to purchase one. We just want your guidances. Should that be a yellow bus or should it be a white? So Chris will.
Jim kind of went over everything. I wrote a little thing just talking about the purchase of a new school bus. Provided price quotes for 2 different types. One is your normal 78 passenger yellow bus that we purchased in the past. The other style was the motor coach style 44 passenger RES class, which would be the white fleet. We do need to purchase one now, but we want to look at the purchase of a second one to expand our fleet. Our buses are aging due to miles, idle hours accumulated over the school year, breakdowns, and here in the past few months we've actually had a catastrophic breakdown. The NAPT recommends 15 years or 250,000 cycle miles on your buses. That just keeps you current with DOT standards, that keeps your safety protocols. As these buses age as well, parts become either irreplaceable or so expensive that it doesn't make sense to keep spending money on them. The activity buses that we currently have in inventory will be used for the routes, and the new ones will take their place. We just wanted to come to you and talk to you about what would be the proper purchase here on this one. With the white fleet bus, you have ample undercarriage storage. That could eliminate an extra Suburban, an extra trailer, extra drivers. I mean, really, we could save money by purchasing that bus. And then also looking at the purchase of a second bus, which I think we had talked about a little bit. And then whichever way you want to go, the yellow bus can be used, for routes or activities. The white bus would be used for activities only. And then of course, in the future with the purchase of a yellow bus, that can be used that can actually go to our routes rather than passing down an activity bus that already has 40,000 miles on it, to a route where we could actually purchase a yellow bus, put a new bus on a route and start from there.
So in your mind, we need potentially an activity bus and a yellow bus would help your fleet out?
Either 2 white, 2 yellow, or 1 of each.
So we'd only budgeted for one this year, but we feel confident that we would be able to, as time goes, and be able to look at either fund balance or a variety of ways to be able to look at purchasing another bus.
And you talked about 3 of them potentially to be sold or retired, right?
Correct.
Are those funds accounted for, kind of, Scott?
When you say,
Like the money we would receive for trading in or selling those 3?
I mean,
it's
that
probably
could
not
go
enough.
back into your bus purchase line. I mean, but it's usually not.
Not enough to, yeah.
Normally, they've been put up for auction in the past, isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you give us just a ballpark figure if you recall?
Anywhere from $700 to $1,500. Normally, by the time we're getting rid of them, in the past, the ones that we've gotten rid of have been 20 plus years old, 350, 400,000 miles on them, it's more than likely the people that are purchasing them at the auctions, being at the auction, listening to those people, they're buying them for a deer lease, for a place to sleep, or turn them into a camp house, or utilizing them on a farm where they cut the top off of them and fill them with watermelons. I mean, they're looking for a very big transport with a lot of carrying capacity for cheap.
So in your opinion, what is your greater need, the white or the yellow?
Either, if we were to purchase a white bus, that would be activity only. That would free up a bus that we could utilize for activity and routes, or just particular routes.
Which is what happened that night, round 2 of the playoffs, we got into a bind, right? It was like the perfect storm. Wasn't there a girls' sport, then there was a playoff game, and remember there was a perfect storm night for that playoff game.
It was one of those where we just had to do a balancing act, like if we can, as soon as we get the route back, we can bring it, and we're just, we've added so many sports, with everything going on, and there's so many more activities going on, and traveling and things like that. I mean, it's just, we're to the point where we need more buses, and there's so many more kids that we're transporting too, so.
So Chris, on the activity bus, how's it really going to help? I mean, I'm just curious. I know the big thing is it holds equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking who's going to use that the most, probably going to be, let's be honest, the band, with their band, because they're the ones who use all the trailers. And so how much of a cost savings would that be if we go spend this extra money on activity bus? Because we need the yellow buses. We can't end up like we were years ago,
Agreed.
when we have a bunch of old yellow buses and we can't, that's bad for our routes.
Right.
So, I mean, is it really gonna be, the activity bus gonna be that big of a benefit?
I think it would as far as the other activities that we currently have in our inventory, the activity buses that we can utilize on routes and in other places that we're needing. The only downfall with it is it's the activity only bus because it's considered your white fleet. So, which that could be used for band, for football, softball, baseball, I mean, any activity that's
trips?
going. Ma'am?
Field trips, stuff like that is okay?
It could be used for field trips as well.
But I don't see any way the football team would use it, right? Because that would, to me, the band would be the priority,
Yeah,
right?
I think they would like that separate.
Because you would need more room.
Room.
You need to.
Kids put it out, but.
Or volleyball, right? Because one of the things is volleyball girl, I mean, well, the beauty is, no matter which, if we took an activity bus, right now, how many buses do we take to, say, a football game? And then how many additional Suburbans do we take to?
So we'll take two buses for football.
For players.
Oh, for players, two buses. Then you'll have, just saying in general for a football game is two buses for football players, a Suburban trailer, and then two more Suburbans for coaches and equipment and trainers. Then you have two buses for band, a Suburban and trailer, sometimes two, depending on what kind of halftime show they're gonna do, if they need a second one. Then you also have cheerleaders, bells, which we've had to actually split up on, where we were going to split up in two buses. We were able to put all of them on one bus and then utilize another Suburban for equipment. So we were able to come down a little bit on that. So I mean,
Chris,
there's-
I'm trying to remember what the schedule, I know y'all shared the schedule of the fleet, where we were at as far as outdated buses, and I don't recall it offhand, so bear with me, but how are you time-wise on replacing buses? Do you have a year to wait for a second yellow bus?
Right now, no.
Okay.
Just because on one of our route buses, which is an older one, we had a catastrophic failure on it. To put that thing back in service, we're anywhere from 25 to 35,000 to put it back in service.
So looking at the pricing on those things, and I'm assuming the price on the yellow bus will be the same if you're ordering multiple, maybe get a little discount in that, but
There's
not much discount.
No,
So the
it's-
same, so we're
yeah.
looking at 105.
Yes, sir.
There's a $40,000 difference between the two.
Correct.
Well, it
If-
sounds to me like we should.
If we need to do two yellow buses, because we're 40% of the way into
Yeah.
a second bus just off
I
purchasing.
almost think we ought to buy the two yellow buses, and then in the
Wait
back
on
of your
this.
mind, this whole
Yeah.
year, you need to like run scenarios. When would I have used this activity bus?
Right.
Have
Okay.
like the mental checklist. Man, this has been a really, and then come back and go, I really wouldn't use it that much, or man, we could have really used that.
If getting two this year gets us a little bit more caught up, maybe next year we go with a single activity bus, free another one up,
Okay.
and help you get a little bit more caught up. I just have a hard time if we're falling behind on yellow buses, putting an extra 40 in for an activity only bus just doesn't really.
Okay. And
It's almost
I wanted to
bus.
bring it to y'all. I mean,
Yeah, right, yeah, and I appreciate it.
It's out there.
Yeah.
I almost think it needs to be a yearly deal for you to meet with us and talk about this, honestly.
Absolutely.
I mean, we are way better than we were 8-9 years ago, because
Right.
it was pretty bad then, but we're close to caught up. 46 is your next one that will be going out, and of course 48 is falling into about is it 12 years, 13
Yeah,
years?
so Chris highlights buses in red, so you can see the route bus, the number, like 6, it's kind of highlighted in I guess, pink. And those are buses that have exceeded 200,000 miles? or-
15 years or 250,000 cycle miles, correct.
And the ones that are highlighted gold are?
They're within like 10, around 10 or 11 years old, some are 12 years old.
So
Kind
next-
of getting to that
The next up.
that next spot where it's going to slip out. And 6 that you see highlighted, 6 is kind of our backup special needs bus. Right now we have 54 and 8, which are aging. They're 10 years old, but they're still in really good condition, operating, great right now. Let's knock on wood.
Don't say that.
But like I said, this right now compared to how we were, you know, when I started, we've increased our fleet, and it's going really good.
So right now, with everything that's going on, from the time you order, what's the anticipated time that you would actually be able to take possession of?
It used to be, before COVID hit, it
Yes.
was about 6 months. What they're running into is not the factory putting the buses together, it's the factory waiting on the parts from a manufacturer, because it's a trickle down effect, that's all it is. So we're trying to see if we can get this, you know, I'd like to get it approved, that way we get it ordered and get it here before the next school year start. And of course, the budget as well, so.
So it almost sounds like we need to order two yellow ones.
So the buses that you take to, for example, Hitchcock, right, when we play sports there for some reason. What?
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Do you use the route buses, or do you use
So-
the athletic buses?
So that'll be your,
Oh, extracurricular.
that'll be
buses.
your extracurricular
Okay,
buses.
so those are all decent shape.
Right.
Okay.
And then of course, well, 58 was an extracurricular bus, but we had a catastrophic failure, so I've had to move it to a route. Typically we use 58, 57, and we also, 56 we utilize it a little bit. That's the full-size bus that we bought that's a handicap cable. A lot of people like to use it not because of the handicap, but there's an extra space where that ramp is, so they're able to put a lot of their equipment there, which helps out a lot. But Margaret liked to take the cheerleaders, so she's in a newer bus, which is 57, Ms. Phelps, so she would take that, and you know that we're kind of, those activity buses that we've purchased in the past couple of years have already gone up to the routes, and then we utilize those.
Okay.
So the drivers would talk to their parents and work out with their parents of trying to get the routes done, that way they could make it back, and then we could go to the Palacios and Hitchcock.
So every morning, how many buses go out?
Everything you see here except for 6.
We need two for sure then.
And then, of course, the ones you see here, these are the ones that they use from campus to campus. That's just going from junior high to field house, or high school to field house, which I think we're putting 4 miles on a week or something. So.
It's good stuff. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
No problem.
So today we're just approving the purchase of one. Not that, but we all realize that the
We
need
need two.
is great.
Yes.
But we're approving the purchase of one consent.
Okay.
Okay, donations, do we have any donations?
Yes, we do. The class of 1968 made a monetary donation to CHS, and Walmart made a district-wide donation. They donated paper, pencils, dividers, erasers, and spiral notebooks.
Okay. With that, we'll need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Scott moves.
I'll second.
Dorothy seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to number 7, regular business action items. A, discussion and possible action to approve the notice and order of election calling the Board of Trustees election for May 1st, 2021. Mr. Connor.
Absolutely. So, read it to the record. Architectural firm, calendar, we have a lot of things. Sorry.
Sorry, 164 pages.
I know, well, we're going to do things to combat that a little bit. The board is required to officially call for the May 1st, 2021 school board election. Terms that are expiring are for Bo Schobel and Scott Orange. So we have 2 at-large 3-year term positions that will be on the ballot. The first day to apply for a place on the ballot was Wednesday, January 13th. The deadline to file for a place on the ballot will be Friday, February 12th, 2021 at 5 p.m. So the administration recommends that we approve the notice and order of an election.
All right, we'll need a motion.
I move to approve for the order for the notice of the order of election calling for the School Board of Trustees election for May 1, 2021.
Dorothy makes a motion.
Second.
Robert seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item B, discussion and possible action to approve the 2021-2022 school calendar. And that is Ms. Berger.
Okay, we have the 21-22 school calendar for you guys. This fall, we started discussions with our district advisory council. We met multiple times to go over dates and a couple of calendars. We sat down with all of those people, had discussions about it, sent out a survey for all of them to vote on the calendar of choice. And so the calendar that I present to you tonight is the calendar that we chose. We brought it to the school board in January, discussed both of those calendars with you guys, and nobody inquired. And so we're bringing this calendar to you guys. If you look on the board note that I sent, the major dates are on there. First day of school would be August 10th for staff, August 18th for students. Thanksgiving holidays will remain the same. Christmas break, pretty much the same. We do have spring break on there as March 14th through the 18th. Pending blends calendar coming out. That still hasn't come out yet. We like to keep with them just due to the dual credit classes, so our students are on the same schedules. Last day for students would be May 26th, and the last day for staff would be May 30th. So the administration recommends the approval of the 21-22 school year calendar as presented, unless you have questions.
Question? That's good. And this is basically kind of like last year's calendar, a lot of the same stuff.
Yes, pretty much the same stuff within a later start date, later end date.
All right, anybody else? Okay, we'll need a motion.
I'll move we approve the 2021-22 school calendar as presented.
Scott makes a motion.
I'll second.
Brian seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Brings us to C, discussion and possible action regarding the approval of an architectural firm to conduct a district-wide facilities assessment. Mr. Conner.
So we spoke last board meeting about inquiries for a facilities assessment to check for the electrical as well as the plumbing and the bathrooms in our facilities, which we know are aging. So the administration placed a request for qualifications advertisement in the newspaper as well as a trade standard in January 19th and January 26th. And the RFQs were received back to us on the 29th of January. We had 6 architectural firms responded to the RFQ. The 6 architectural firms were then evaluated by myself, Scott Leopold, Chief Financial Officer, and Director of Maintenance and Facilities, Kenny Kale. From that, we brought 6 down to a number of, we were shooting for 3, but we came up with 4. What we looked at was the ability not only to just do a facilities assessment, but to be able to do the scope of work to that assessment. Did they do this with schools that resemble us? Because the architecture firms that we saw had a lot of, they were all very, very well renowned. And their scope of work went to a lot of very, very large districts, and they built huge facilities. But it was important to us that we had someone who could do something that looked like our school. And then if the assessment came back and said, hey, it was going to be much more than the 2.5 million that we have in fund balance that we could put towards it. Could they then, do they have experience in building or renovating of facilities and helping with the package? So from that, we narrowed it down to a group of 4. We met with 3 board members for the Facilities Assessment Committee and reviewed the 4 that we'd come down to. And it came down to two architect firms that did the scope that we were looking for. From that, the Facilities Assessment Committee recommended Claycomb Architects as the group that we would like to perform the facilities assessment. Knowing that what we're approving, or what you're approving, is that architecture firm just to do the facilities assessment. They are not tied into having to go any further work with it, but we wanted to make sure that we had an architecture firm that if we had to do extensive work beyond that, that this architecture firm could handle that scope, but handle that scope in a district that looks like us. And to everyone, and on the committee, we all felt that Claycomb had the bulk of their work was done in school districts that resemble us. They were also able to do work on a school while the school was in session. So they were able to build and construct on an existing site. All of those were very important to us because not knowing where this is going to take us, we've got to be able to answer all of those questions. So without a doubt, Claycomb became the favorite.
Yeah, and we had a facilities assessment a few years back. There were a few around when VOK came through, and they did. I think you were here. VOK came through, and that's when we installed the security vestibules and everything. The one thing they didn't really touch into very, very in depth was the bathrooms, the plumbing, and especially the electrical in the old buildings. And so we wanted to get fresh new eyes, fresh new company come in with a second opinion, and we all kind of like looking through everything Claycomb.
Yeah, they have a lot of experience with like 4A-ish and under school districts in Texas. A lot of the firms were, 5A, 6A.
Including a couple of them local.
Yeah.
Local schools with
Rice.
Clear. A little bit more in tune to our area.
With that, any questions on any of that, guys? Okay, well then, with no questions, we'll need an action to approve Claycomb as the architectural firm to conduct a district-wide facilities assessment.
I'll move to approve Claycomb as presented.
Okay, Scott makes a motion to approve Claycomb.
I second.
Michelle seconds. All in favor, signal with right hand. All opposed, same side. Motion carries for Claycomb. Action D, discussion and possible action to approve the district long range technology plan for 2020 through 2025. Mr. Bakehouse.
I know it only said 5 years on there, but that's as long range as you can get in technology. As Lance always says, it's it just turned on. He says his crystal ball doesn't look out that far in technology because it changes constantly. So this is a long-range technology plan that Jim tasked us with at the beginning of the school year. And so if you look at the plan that you had, it'll say 2020 to 2025. That's this school year and the next 4 school years. It's a living document, so take that into account. Things in it will change to fit the technology needs of the district, and it's a collaborative document. We met with Amber and Scott and Miller, and then we brought it into cabinet, and we all discussed it in the cabinet. So it's a collaborative living document. See if this brand new clicker works. Come on, there it goes.
It's technology.
Yeah, it's technology. It just came in today. All right. So in the executive summary, the technology mission is that we will utilize technology or incorporate technology to provide student-centered learning, provide access to technology to all students and staff, provide for our technological needs for the future and current, a networked information system, and encourage and improve effective communications throughout the school system, and develop and support key teaching strategies. And this plan is intended to cover all aspects of technology from 2020 to 2025. Our current conditions, so this is like the shape of the landscape as we currently have. Right now, the district shares between its campuses 1 gig of broadband internet access with 10 gig transmission lines in between the campuses, and every desktop has a 1 gig uplink. That doesn't mean every desktop gets 1 gig, it just means has the capacity for that. Recently, and you guys were a part of this, was we migrated from our Microsoft Exchange server, which we owned, to in the cloud with Gmail, which proved to be it was a daunting task, but once we've got it, it's great. It allows for so much collaboration, and it's not sitting here, it's out in the cloud. Currently, and tomorrow, we are changing out the Cisco phone system in favor of the VIA voice over internet system, and it's the first time our district will have communication lines on fiber instead of the copper lines that you have on a landline.
And I think that the real, I want to toot their horns, because we're now able to just replace all the phones that we have, but we're able to put a telephone in every teacher's classroom. We're doing that, and it's costing us less money. It's a huge deal. So what Zach and Lance have done is just amazing. What we're able to do.
The one underneath that is the one that's the most publicized. That's our one-to-one Chromebooks district-wide. It feels good to be able to say that. That doesn't mean that they're all brand new district-wide. It means 1,000 of them are. We've got 600 more to go. So there's plans in place to trade out as we go on. Along with that, we have our ClassLink single sign-on. What that allows us to do is have one place, we sign in, and it'll pass us through to all the different accounts. It's really great for the students, especially if you think about little kids having to remember a username and password. We use this thing called auto provisioning, auto rostering. It's a portion of the ClassLink roster server, and what it does is it will look at our CIS every night. It looks at Texas, our student information system, and it will build that kid's account, and then all that kid has to do is click that icon, and it passes them through. So no more fumbling for passwords and that sort of thing. We're currently phasing out smart boards, more so on the elementary campus in favor of interactive TVs. And most of those we're going with our new line interactive screens. And then we did the staffing study in the fall, and it said that the technology department is understaffed by 2 people. And so there's plans within the plan to bolster the personnel side as well. So our needs assessment is based off of these 4 things: infrastructure, devices, staff development, personnel, and it's all relating back to, in our district improvement plan, integration of technology in the classroom, instruction across curricular areas should be further enhanced. So always continue to strive for better technology in the classroom, and that goes on goal 1 and performance objective 13. So in infrastructure, we've identified these needs. So we have 7 needs here. First thing is to close our gap to meet or exceed the FCC bandwidth. So basically, the FCC says you should have 1 meg of internet per student. And right now, we're at 660 kilobytes. When 3 years ago, we met that requirement. But as time goes on, they shifted out. And so this year in our E-rate, we asked for 2 gig internet or better, which will get us at that requirement or past it. Also, to refresh our Wi-Fi network to replace aging access points. We've already mentioned the phone system, but we want to have it in every teacher's classroom so that they can increase safety and communication. We also want to replace cabling with platinum rated Cat 6, which will improve faster transmission in between the switches and the teacher's computer or the students. Again, replace obsolete switches and battery backups. And then we want to investigate replacing ceiling mounted projectors throughout the district with new line interactive panels. The cost associated is a great deal different, but in the end we're seeing that the teachers are just having so much more functionality and flexibility with their interactive boards. And then this is the last one is kind of another one that ties into communication, but it's one of those, it's a big bugaboo, but it's to investigate replacing the bell system with a more current IP-based bell system so that the administrator can change the bell system at any point throughout the day. Right now we have to have a company come out and reprogram it. Robert knows this. so they have to come out and you have to, it's a whole ordeal. So I can say this could also serve as a checkoff sheet for us. We are checking off many of these as we speak. I mean, by the end of this year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and part of 6 will be kind of checked off fully or partially in our needs assessment. Moving into devices, we want to replace aging teacher Chromebooks because now the students have better Chromebooks than the teachers do, so we want to make sure that they have better devices or desktops so that they have quicker logins and better facilitation of learning when you're not having to wait for it to log in. And then number 9 there is to replace the student devices as well. Like we will go in and figure out which ones we need to replace and a refresh of that to keep our one-to-one fresh and updated. See, we're taking off. And then the last one is to replace all smart boards with the new line interactive panels. Staff development was the next one on there. And basically what this is to increase technology integration into the curriculum and to provide opportunities for targeted growth for those teachers with technology instruction in mind. Miller and I sat down and we came up with some ideas to bolster this and to make it something that a feather in the hat of the teacher, and I'll show you that a little bit later on. Personnel. We would like to increase staffing each year with the goal in mind to include a dedicated technician and instructional technologist on each campus. And one of the ways we could do this is to collaborate with the career and technical education program, especially in information technology, to create a pathway for students to get that hands-on experience, and then and they could get their A+ certifications and that sort of thing, and then hopefully come back and work for us. Maybe we dangle a carrot of money in front of them instead of go to college and spend $40,000, come over here and make it, that sort of thing. And then the 5-year budget, and when this thing pops up at the bottom, my apologies, it's small, but you have it in your packet. I just wanted there to be a visual for it. But the budget, we're looking at leveraging several areas, E-rate funding, campus IT funds, district funds, eligible grants, federal monies that are out there. We want to provide an outlook for the future to eliminate surprises. I know Scott doesn't like surprises, so and neither does our superintendent. So, and looking at this, and I know I told you it's small, but you have it blown up on your sheets there. But the way it comes out is I have it categorized. Let's see here by our infrastructure devices. I added licensing in because that's one of the ones that will sneak up, and then we have personnel here. Staff development's not really included in this. That's in something else. But then this gives a little detail, cost associated, the funding source that we currently use or what we could use, and then the status of it. So of course everything in this year is awaiting install or in progress, that sort of thing. And then down here in the licensing, that's where we're sitting down trying to figure out these licensing things, how many times a year we pay them, when do we pay them, and that way we can kind of look and budget forward. Oh, okay, well this comes out in September, which he doesn't like. I don't either. I like them to be more like March or June. But anyway, so you can kind of see at a glance what we have there, and the whole deal is, like I said, is to eliminate the surprises so that we can budget for a new server or whatever we need that year. And then in our professional development, what we would like to do is continue a development of a system to support the faculty in the adoption and implementation of their technology skills. And so we have these 3 goals in mind. Goal 1 is integration Goal 2 is work productivity, and Goal 3 is communication collaboration. So 100% may be a lofty goal, but I mean, if we're going to go all in on this, we want all of our teachers to be at or above an intermediate level of technology integration in their classroom. We want them to be able to make their life easier with work productivity tools within G Suite, which is now called Google Workspace. And then we want them to be able to improve communication with their students and their parents. So with these 3 goals in mind, Miller and I sat down and we kind of came up with a tiered system where the teachers can identify where they are, whether they're at a basic understanding of this or an intermediate proficient level, or maybe they're an early adopter innovator, and then utilizing that structure because we're one of those that do a lot of train-the-trainer kind of things. So those teachers will then be able to do peer-to-peer networking and help them bring up their skill set to the 100% level that we're looking for. We've also kind of come up with a badging system so that when they achieve a certain rank, they'll be able to get a little badge and put it inside their email. And so we have several different names on it. I'm not going to release any of those names yet because we haven't really talked about which one we're going to pick. But they'll have a little badge that they can put in their email signature to show, hey, just kind of a puff your chest out, fluff your feathers kind of thing. Okay? No pun intended. We're all Cardinals. So any questions?
So I want to share something too that he didn't. But beginning of the year when I sat down with Zach and I said, hey, I want you to present a 5-year technology plan. I want you to get us where we need to be in 5 years. And I said, one of the most important things that we want to have is we want to have professional development for teachers, but we also want to have someone who can provide resources for them on a daily basis. Prior to this year, it was Zach and Lance. So if somebody needed something, it was Zach or Lance. And Zach was teaching 4 to 5 periods a day, so his availability was 3 periods a day. And Lance was running from 4 different campuses. And we realized that when we did the staffing study, which was one of the best things we've done, that they said, hey, you're understaffed in technology. We knew that. So when I told Zach, I said, hey, Zach, I want you to be able to do this, and I want you to build an instructional technologist and a technician on each campus. So if a teacher has a need, there's somebody on that campus that can do that. Right now, we have 1 technician on 1 campus. I said, Zach, I want you to do that, but I don't want you to add any money to any FTEs to our budget. So do this without spending any money. Well, the staffing study came, it sounds like
we're fresh out of people on the street.
When I said it to him first, he looked at me like I had 3 eyes. But once we did that staffing study, we realized that we have large areas where we're slightly overstaffed. Amber met with the principals for the last month on staffing. We had never done staffing, and Robert can probably attest to it. We've never had staffing meetings in Columbus. We tasked the principals with, hey, you know what? How can you get an instructional technologist and a technician at your campus? If someone leaves and we really don't need that position in that area, could you then repurpose that position with an instructional technologist and or a technician? So the principals came last week and they gave their presentations for exactly what they need and what they want, and then they showed how they could make it happen without adding to an FTE to the bottom line. So we're confident next year that we're going to be able to add instructional technologists, maybe not full-time at each campus, but at least for part of the day at each campus and a technician without adding to the budget. So Zach and Amber have gone above and beyond to be able to make this happen. This is a huge, huge move forward. I mean, think about it. We went from 600 Chromebooks to 1-to-1. So 1,600 kids now have Chromebooks, but we didn't up the technology staff. So it's really Zach, Susie, and Lance
and Susie's been working her butt off. I don't know if you've been to the elementary campus, but she has a little sign that sticks off of her door that says Chromebook Hospital. And she has those little, you know, third graders and fourth graders there. They come in and they walk straight in, and she has, what's wrong with your Chromebook? And they fill it out. They put their Chromebook there. They grab a loaner. They go back to class, and then she gets it fixed while they're in class. So yeah, it's a pretty efficient system. But when you think about it, when you have all of that happening, and then you still have your regular workload too. So you know, so it's been fun. Let's put it that way this year. It's been fun because Chrome has its own set of quirks. So if you're used to dealing with a Windows computer where you know how to fix stuff, and then Chrome has these weird keystrokes that you have to hit in order for something to fix something. It's kind of a lot of Googling this year. Google's been our friend.
So what we're asking you to do is to approve our overall plan, but you can see where we want to go and where we want to be in 5 years. And Zach's done a lot of great work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, somebody?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
And if not, we'll need a motion.
I'll move to approve the district long-range technology plan for 2020 to 2025 as presented.
Scott makes a motion.
Second.
Robert seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Brings us to E, discussion and possible action to approve addition of new courses to the secondary course guidelines.
And Dr. Beard
Mr. Beard
he is quarantining, so I'll present from here. He was fine, and then Friday he started to feel a little scratchy, and then today a little bit more scratchy. So what you have in your you have the actual course guide, which we started last year, and Miller's taken it over and expanded it. But I wanted to share with the courses that we want to add next year at the high school level. So one of the things that's important for us is that we get a college, career, and military readiness check for each of our kids. And the previous principal had started our kids on a TSI testing cycle that got a lot of kids their check because they were able to pass the TSI math and the TSI English. But what we noticed is that there was no class to prep these kids. But if we put these kids in a class to prep it, their success rate would build even higher, which would make them college and career ready in math and or English. So we're going to add a TSI success math and English course, one in each area. We're also going to add dual credit college algebra. We have a teacher here on campus that can certify and teach it. We can even teach it through on-ramps, which is from UT, and the teacher just has to go through some training, and it's actually taught by a UT professor. When I get excited, I drop those R's really fast. Our plan is to be able to use this as Algebra 2. So our kids who are on an advanced track and taking Algebra 2 as sophomores could now get college credit. So it is a huge win-win for us, and it's awesome. It is. It truly, truly is. We are also going to add dual credit college chemistry. We can do it the same way, on-ramps. We don't know how, our view on that is that it may be not something that we would be able to offer every year because you may not have the number of kids to make the class, but it would be something that we could offer every other year. So we want to put it in the offer sheet this year and have y'all approve it, and then if it doesn't make, that's okay. We've approved it, and we can add it the following year. One of the things that I've noticed is that we offer Spanish, which is the only language that we've offered. And prior to my work here, I had spent time in Galveston, and we had offered Chinese. And I noticed the first year we had offered Chinese that kids who were not good at languages did really well in Chinese because it's a character-based language. So we had a lot of kids from our special programs who were very successful in Chinese. So when, which astounded me at first, but then doing research found that it's common. Well, another area that's really common that is not a, that is, well, kind of character-based is American Sign Language. So this past year, we brought in Elevate to be able to do online Spanish just to test the company out. We are now doing Algebra 1 after our algebra teacher left through Elevate. They're able to cover 5 of our classes. So we have a certified algebra teacher in there teaching our kids, which has made me very happy. But they also offer American Sign Language. So our goal is to be able to give kids choices. That if you don't necessarily, if you've been traditionally unsuccessful in acquiring the Spanish language, we want to give you another option. What we've had done is said, no, we're going to put you in a completely different, and you're not going to be able to graduate with the distinguished diploma. So now, by being able to offer them ASL, and they would take it the exact same way, they would take it virtually online, so just like we're doing Spanish 1 this year. We might back off from Spanish and pick up ASL instead. So we want to make that offer to kids just to see what the interest is. We also want to add an SAT prep course, which will also help. My goal always is that all 8th graders take the SAT 8-9, all 9th graders take SAT 8-9, all 10th graders take PSAT and MSQT, and all 11th graders take it. Our goal is that when those kids take the SAT, you get better by practicing. If you can get them to practice in grade 8, 9, and 10, and 11, they're going to score better. But how else can you assure that the kids are going to score better? You have a class dedicated to these kids who now are working towards the SAT and scoring high. So we're going to offer an SAT prep course. We're also going to look into CTE and offer the track of education and training. Evidently, it was here a few years ago. We want to bring it back. We just think that the interest is here. We want to be able to grow our own teachers, and if kids are interested in that, why not train them here and then be able to bring them back? And then, what we also want to do is we want to bring courses down to the junior high. We want our kids to get high school credit at the junior high. So I talked to Amy and said, hey Amy, there's, we offer algebra, a semester of algebra, but we can do more. And so we kind of all put our heads together, and she wants to bring down a CTE course that would be an entry level for all our CTE people. So what we found is that it's very difficult to get our kids in the level 4 CTE, whether it be welding or ag or computers. And it's hard because we don't come up with the prerequisite skills. And you start in grade 9 and you're starting kind of wet behind the ears, and it's tough to catch up. So what we want to do is provide those skills at the junior high. So then as they come, we can get more kids to that upper tiered course and to get their industry-based certification. So next year we wanted to offer principles of information technology, which can lead kids into a computer certification, but also in the web tech. So we're also going to offer web communications there too, which is a common offering at most middle schools. And I think Robert at Katy does that. We also noticed that we have a log jam in our Spanish classes. And part of the reason is because we don't offer Spanish at the junior high. Well, my thought was that I would love to offer Spanish 1 to native speakers who can then pass that course and then offer them credit by exam for Spanish 2 and then test them out of Spanish before they even come to the high school. So they'll actually come to the high school with 2 credits, which studies show you the more credits you come to the high school with, high school credits you come with, the more successful you are.
Do we have a teacher there that?
So we would use the online Spanish course that we piloted this year. So we would be able to bring it there, and all we'd have to do is have someone in the classroom with it. We have an instructor, so we have it's a perfect storm scenario that we built that we can do this. And then we want to pair web communications with help. One of the prerequisites that every student has to graduate now is the CPR. Thanks, Rob. The CPR. It's all these letters. There's just too many. But they can't be certified. They don't have to be certified by CPR, but they have to have been exposed to CPR. So health kind of went away, but there's no reason for it to go away. We need to be able to offer it. We can give them high school credit. We can get them their CPR certification, and we kill two birds with one stone. And then we pair it with webcam. So it's a win-win. Our goal is that every single junior high student comes to high school with at least 1 credit, and up to 4.5 credits, which I think is just huge. So,
That's big.
absolutely. So and you have the course catalog with you, but so the only action we need now is just to approve these courses that I've shared.
And back to all these that you listed here at the high school, those are all web-based?
No. So the college algebra is not. Dual credit college chemistry is not. American Sign Language will be. The SAT prep course will not be. CTE will not be. That's our teachers. We're offering that. The TSI math and English courses are offered by us. There is a program, to follow, but our teachers are actually, we have a math teacher or a science teacher, or an English teacher offering those courses. So it's
they're basically separate courses, so if somebody needs help in both areas, they need to take
both.
math and English. Yeah. And are they like just a 1 semester?
One of them is, I believe the math is a full year, and I believe the English is 1 semester.
I know that's neon, that's a hard test.
Absolutely. But just completion of the course, so we added the course this year, this semester. And kids can move at their own pace. So a lot of our kids, just going through on their own, have completed the coursework in about a month. So because it is self-paced, and if they go home and do because you take a test, I mean you go through the whatever the unit is, you take a test, if you pass the test, you move to the next unit. You have a teacher to help design your lesson and work with you, but it is self-paced. Everything else, the only thing that would really truly be online instruction is just the American Sign Language and Spanish 1 at the junior high.
Okay, one more thing with this TSI.
Okay.
I have a question. If you do take the course and you pass the course, are you exempt then from taking the test?
So yes, in one course, the course that we're offering, yes, you can get TSI exempted. So you get
math or the English.
So the math you have to take it for a year. For the English, you just take it for a semester.
And then you don't have to take
right. Or you can take you can actually take the test. Because some colleges, I mean, we'll get the check for us, right? So it scores for us, but some colleges would still want you to take the TSI to make sure that your college is ready for them. So this gives
you're
it.
not completely exempt.
You could be or you could not be. It depends. So, but this way we give you double action. You can take the test or pass the class.
Thank you. Obviously, my kids have trouble with the test.
Anybody else? If not, we'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the addition of new courses to the secondary course guide.
Robert moves.
I can second.
Michelle seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Brings us to letter F, discussion and possible action item to approve the educator early resignation incentive plan resolution.
Okay, tonight we're bringing a resolution to you guys for an early resignation notification incentive program. Don't try to say that 5 times fast. Well, what this is we are wanting to offer any term and probationary contract employees that are interested in resigning at the end of the school year, this school year. We would like to be able to offer them a one-time payment of $500 if they're to let us know early that they're planning on resigning. Now, there's some things some stipulations that go with this. We're going to go ahead, if it's approved tonight, we'll go ahead and put that information out this week by Friday. And they will have till March 26th to let us know whether or not they are going to resign. So they'll have to turn in a resignation letter along with an application form or just an agreement that says they agree to all of the terms. They will have to finish the school year out. So they're going to need to finish their contract duties. They'll just need to turn in a resignation letter that says they are resigning effective at the end of the school year. This is not going to be an incentive payment to anyone who resigns effective immediately, just anyone that's going to finish out their contract. Really, the reasons that we're asking for you guys to approve this resolution tonight is it gives us an early opportunity to look at budgets, salaries, who's leaving. We talked about tonight being able to find FTEs to supply us with instructional technologists and things of that sort. This helps us get a good look at who's leaving. Do we need to replace that position, or can we move it around to where it best suits us? So it just kind of gives us also an early jump on anybody who's applying. It's hard when we're sitting in June, and Robert knows this. How many times have we been there? Sitting in June, getting those resignations in June and panicking because by June, most of your applicants are gone, everybody's got jobs, and we kind of hit a panic. So we feel like if we're able to offer an incentive for them to resign sooner, if they're thinking about resigning, it just helps us get a better jump on what our staffing's going to look like, what our budgets will look like for next year. And so, does anyone have any questions?
And we've had this before. I think it was our first year board when Esther was here.
We have. Yes.
And I don't know, why did that go away?
I don't know. That was prior to me being in
seems
central
like
office, but I think it's something that we could bring to the board every year if we were interested in doing it every year. I don't see why we would not do it every year. It's truly beneficial to us, to the campuses. So.
We should approve more than 1 year.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that.
Well, I think it's okay for us to what I'll do is put this on my calendar to bring it to the board every year at this time. We'll do it every year.
Probably do it in
That's
January.
probably what happened last time, is that it got brought to us and then it just didn't get brought the next year.
Never brought back up.
Yeah.
They didn't put in the calendar.
Didn't put it
Well, we have a board calendar where I calendar everything that's coming up. So, the month before, we meet in cabinet and I go through exactly what's due at the next month. So we will definitely add this to the calendar.
That's right. So if you guys don't have any questions, the administration recommends the approval of the early resignation notification incentives for contract staff.
Okay, no further questions. We'll need a motion.
I'll move we approve the educator early resignation incentive plan as presented.
Scott moves.
I'll second.
Dorothy seconds. All in favor, signal with your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And that's going to bring us to closed session. So, I guess I got to read this here. The board will now adjourn into executive session as authorized by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Government Code Section 551-001. Now that we're out, we're going to move to number 9, sorry. Consider action on closed session agenda items. Letter A, consider action on employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, wait a minute. There's no business on that one, sorry. We'll go to letter B, consider action to approve 1-year term administrator contracts.
I move to approve a 1-year term contract to Amy Russell, administrator. I move to approve a 1-year term contract to Miller Beard. I move to approve a 1-year term contract to Zachary Vinkhouse, administrator.
I'll second.
Scott seconds, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Okay, and with that, the meeting is adjourned.